I currently got Paul Hyun on the phone. He's somebody that we have spoken to before. It's been a while since the last interview with Paul, so why don't we go ahead and allow him to introduce himself again?
Okay, well, thank you very much, Alexander. It's great to be here again. I still can't believe it's been more than 3.5 years since I was last talking to you, but it's
Mm-hmm.
great to be here. So my name is Paul Hyun. I've been playing the cello for 29 years. I'm also a professional martial artist of 29 years. And I've been teaching for the last maybe 16 years out of those 29. And I currently am teaching in the Irvine and Orange County school district areas. I teach from beginner to advanced level of cello. I also started a very, very interesting, unique community for cello players known as Improvicelli. So what Improvicelli is, if I were to give the short version of explaining it, is unlimited creative collaboration as well as entertaining audiences with various styles of playing different genres of music on the cello. That's the easiest way to put Improvicelli as what it is. I will later go into a more deeper depth of why I decided to do this community. But yeah, thanks for
All
having me,
right.
Alexander.
Yeah, absolutely. It was great. Thank you for coming back. So a couple questions right off the bat. So you mentioned that you have begun working within the school district for, you said Irvine, California, and Orange County.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Tell me a little bit about how that's going. How do you find working on music in today's school system?
Well, for starters, I'll definitely say school seems to be a lot less strict since COVID. Everybody's using digital access. What's interesting about actually the Orange School District, I have found is they have to do the fundraising for themselves for a lot of the music departments. Like the kids actually have to go through this fundraising course, and the fundraiser person teaches them how to raise a fundraiser for their orchestra program, which is very interesting because I thought Orange County actually has a lot of money, to be honest. But I guess with the pandemic, many things changed. There were a lot of budget cuts too in a lot of departments. But I actually really find working for the school district actually very enjoyable, even more than, like before when I was in Northern California, I was doing it. Because the thing I like about these school districts here is there's a new implemented rule. I guess it's because of this Prop 23 or AV something. I forget. Like there's a certain proposition that made it that everybody has to be considered an employee, I guess, that's working through, specific kind of position. And so I'm actually now a district employee on record. I have an employee ID. I'm also, an employee through the school district, which means any school besides the current two that I'm working with that hires me, I already have my paperwork and everything filled out. So all they have to do is just schedule me.
Okay, were
Compared to
you
before, where you have to come in as an independent contractor through a third party and then sign in and all this crap and then with the security clearance and then you're more limited to how many times you can come to the school. But as an employee, for me, I can go in as many times as they can afford to pay me. But between you and me, Alex, like I actually do a lot of the days for these schools voluntarily because I really love helping the students. And it's also my way of getting more connected and intricated into the community because I'm still pretty new to the SoCal community. Since the pandemic, I haven't really connected that much, which is why actually getting gigs in SoCal for me is harder than most people who are local here. So,
sure? So a quick tangent question: was that proposition something that was targeted specifically for teachers, or was that more of a blanket proposition to try to affect like Uber and Lyft kind of things as well?
I believe this proposition has affected like a lot. Let me see. I don't really know the full details of it. All I know is that ever since this proposition was put into play, it basically means that it basically is a proposition that helps give more funding to the schools for like, education purposes.
Okay, so yeah,
So
that
with that
sounds like it was probably targeted towards the school system then.
yeah. hmm There's a Prop 22 that protects the app-based drivers, but that's a little different
Oh,
from this
okay.
other one.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, that makes sense then. Okay, so you mentioned that you also were working on like a cellist group. Is that something that's part of the school district, or are you doing that just as a separate entity?
This is definitely a completely separate entity. So let me give the backstory of how this all came to be. So back in 2011 or 2012, I reunited with a very good friend of mine. His name is Misha Kylie Kuop, excellent cellist. His band actually tours a lot. They're actually a klezmer band. They're called Baymel. They've actually been on the news, I think, too. But anyway, long story short, he introduced me to this thing called the Cello Madness Congress. Now, this was directed and run by a really cool beatboxing cellist named Joey Chang. So Joey is kind of like the pentatonic cellist guy. He can play cello and beatbox and do his own stuff. Really, really, really cool guy. So I got to meet him. And from 2012 up until the pandemic hit, I was actually going and participating and just jamming with other cellists because this Cello Madness Congress he put together for 10 more plus years was just a series of cellists coming together and just hodgepodging the heck out of their instruments together. You know, there would be games involved, we would get the audience involved. There would be showcasing of artists who were featured artists. The featured artists would get paid, but everybody else came willingly, voluntarily, with an open heart to come and jam. And it gave Joey a chance to see what other kind of new talent was coming to the Cello Madness. And that's how I got featured several times too on it. So, long story short, once I became good friends with Joey, he gave me a mission when he found out during the pandemic that I was leaving Northern California. He said, Paul, I'm going to challenge you to bring your own version of the Cello Madness to Southern California. I'm passing the torch to you because in SoCal, he says it's never been done. And there's a lot of potentially good, talented cellists here who are really hungry for people who are willing to let them explore this kind of genre style music, which is non-classical speaking, honestly. And so I started it back in 2021 of May. We had our first show. It was called the Cello Congress SoCal. Joey himself came all the way down, despite how, ticket-wise, we only sold like maybe 45 tickets and the musicians didn't get paid that much, including Joey, who came all the way. The fact that Joey came to support my opening was a huge, huge impact on me. And after that, since then, we've had more than 5 performances of now what we call Improvicelli. I got permission from Joey to change the name to Improvicelli because last I heard, Joey is not doing the Cello Madness anymore these days. He's busy doing his own venture of stuff and, got to make a living because California's expensive, right? So he gave me permission to rebrand here in SoCal my own, and I called it Improvicelli. And luckily for me, this name has not been used for anything yet. So legally, I got my own original name officially, which is cool. And so, yeah, I started that down here. And what my goal with it is to try to give any professional cellist who either wants to improvise or who has the ability to improvise, like, for example, jazz or pop, things that are non-classically related, or even sing with their cello. I want to give them a chance to be part of a community that together we can put on a very entertaining series of shows for the audience. Like, sometimes we'll do games with the audience. So the way the show used to work is I would have 3 featured artists. I kind of copied how Joey's format was. He has 3 featured artists, then an intermission. And then after that, everybody gets on stage who's participating with their instrument, and we do battle. So the way the battle would work is we tell the audience, somebody give us a word, and somebody would say, I don't know, cheese, and then somebody would say penguin. And then somebody would say, now put it together, and we have to make them think of cheese penguin. I know, it's the most far-fetched idea, but, and then we with our instruments have to convey that to the audience. You see how this has potential to be very interactive for audiences?
Yeah, definitely.
It's something that people really don't see the cello do. So I did that for a while. What came to my attention, though, was this community wasn't thrivingly growing, and the attendance rate of the audience was not increasing. And I found out why. It seems a lot of these cellists didn't understand that, yeah, they're getting paid, but they need to bring audience themselves too, especially since they're more local than I am, right? I did the marketing and promoting for them, but they also in return have to do their share too. But because they didn't do that, our audience retention rate was very low for the last couple of years. And I had a recently talk with my marketing manager personnel because I just found one. She's a good friend of one of my closest cello friends from actually Improvicelli, known as the Cello Doll. I don't know if you ever interviewed her, but I highly recommend you reaching out to her too. She's an amazing cellist. She has like 80,000 followers on Instagram. I can connect you guys later.
Yeah,
She's
that'd be
been a
great.
very dear friend of mine, a huge supporter. She lives in Las Vegas currently, but she's going on tour with the Rock Orchestra of the USA soon in October, I believe. But long story short, it's her best friend from college that decided to help me with the marketing of Improvicelli. And the first thing she told me was, you can't have a growing community if you have people who are not contributing to it. And I didn't realize this for almost 3 years until now. So now I'm changing Improvicelli drastically in a way where performances from now on are not going to just have featured solo artists as the main thing anymore. The main attraction is going to be cellists who actually come to put on the show together. And I think what really makes it a seller to people is the fact that we do battle. So here's how a cello battle would work, for example. We'll have two cellists on one side of the room, two cellists on another side. And then I let the audience pick a rule, like saying, you have to lift up one foot while you're playing your cello. You can't put it down during that whole time. Or we'll tell them to give us an emotion. One side has to play the emotion. The other side has to play the genre style. And then we battle each other out. Or another side will play Star Wars, and the other side will play Game of Thrones, and we try to best each other. It's a very, very cool, something that really has potential, because here in SoCal, everybody always sees people play pop music from sheet music, and that's the bigger beauty. We don't use sheet music in anything we do in Improvicelli. Nothing. We only use it if it's an arranged thing, like if I arrange something like The Avengers or How to Train Your Dragon or Mortal Kombat, which I'm planning to do actually a very big show of Improvicelli for the first time ever next fall, 2026. My goal is to sell at least 200 to 300 tickets for it. My marketing personnel is working on that with me. The goal is to have 10 cellists, which will be the largest cello battle that SoCal has ever seen. The first half, the 10 cellists will play music arranged by me, which has video games and movie themes as a cello ensemble. And for 2 minutes on stage, each of those 10 cellists, each cellist will get 2 minutes on stage in front of the audience as their free hash it out time for me to introduce each artist that has joined this wonderful collaboration, to give them a chance to shine on stage and let the audience follow their Instagram and things. It's my way of thanking them. And then obviously ticket sales is how we would split the cost of like paying people. But the main cool thing is on the second half, I'm going to do big cello battle where it's like 5-on-5. Or I'll let each person go up 2 at a time, battling on a big stage. Can you imagine how exciting that would be to see 5 cellos versus 5 cellos on a stage, duking it out?
I like the way that you've like integrated like improv theater into the music like atmosphere. Like it's a really cool idea. I like it.
Yeah, no, it's there's actually a few other cello congregations throughout the USA that actually are doing something similar. There's a place called New Directions Cello Festival, which I only heard about recently because my jazz cello teacher, the famous jazz, he goes by jazz.cello or Chris Tate. He's teaching me actually how to improve my chops and grooves for jazz and other styles too, because I feel as the director and founder of Improvicelli, I need to be even a stronger leader in the improv chopping sense too. So I want to improve my chops even more than what they are.
Yeah, and that seems like a great environment to like do that in too. And people feeding off each other and then taking that to their lessons and then coming back with, more kind of information about it. It sounds like a great like collaborative environment as well as competitive.
Yes, but the main reason why I want to do Improvicelli, Alex, I'll tell you the real true reason is there are so many musicians who are considered the underdog despite how skilled they are, just because they don't have the same connections as other people. And I want Improvicelli to be a community where there's no feeling of intimidation, no matter how professional you are or what style of music you play. It will always be a place where you can just be yourself. Because I'm really tired of it, SoCal. What I've noticed recently is a lot of musicians, despite the skill level, don't always get the gig, Alex, believe it or not. It's because they're local. It's because other people are local and the people know them locally or they went to a local school. So I've learned recently that my skill is not going to help me get gigs. I'm going to have to start doing something unique that only catches the eye of those people who are interested in hiring or helping sponsor this kind of thing. So my goal is to do a Kickstarter fundraiser soon for this big improv show. And it's going to have a trailer featuring all the cellists that I want to be in the show. And then I'm gonna try to find places that will be willing to interview me, whether it's a podcast or even a newspaper, to really, really talk about improv because I'm opening it officially as of this moment to also violin and viola professionals. For the jam sessions that we do, because I'm holding a jam party October 25th here at my apartment clubhouse. It can hold 150 people in it, but I'm going to hold an open jam party / potluck, and I'm going to market it on social media, telling professional string players, come if you've ever wanted to learn how to improvise, learn about what improvicelli is. And someday down the line, perhaps improvicelli can allow violin and viola to also participate in the actual performance. Because right now, since improvicelli's name starts with improvicelli, it makes no sense that the upper strings perform in it unless it's called improv orchestra or something. But I want to give upper strings a chance to get to know what improvicelli is, because it'll give me an idea of how I can incorporate upper strings for future performances. But my goal is to make people feel equally treated and not feel like they're being judged, because people have judged too much around you.
Yeah, I fully support the idea. I'll help support it however I can. Before we have you kind of throw out social media links where people can track that and get involved with that as well, I would be remiss if I did not also check in about your sister. How is Katie doing?
Katie has actually been doing very well. She's been very busy, actually, because she is the Trinity Cathedral concertmistress of the Nova Symphony, right? And
Awesome.
Actually, one unique thing I should tell you is, for the first time ever, as a professional piano trio performance, as brother and sister we are, this past August, we had about 500 people at our first ever piano trio concert with the famous Carlos Avila from New York. My
Awesome.
sister and I played an entire piano trio concert, completely free to the public. It was through my parents' church, and it was through Eventbrite. But what I discovered, Alex, is donation-based performances have a better chance of raising funds for musicians than ticketed sometimes. Because we had 500 people come to this concert, even though it was free. And people loved it, and they want us back next year.
So you mean like free admission, but then people donating kind of thing?
But we didn't expect to be donated anything to us. We did it for free because we did it for the church, because my sister and I grew up at that church. We have a lot of memories. That church watched both of us grow musically since we were kids. But people just wanted to support us that much. And I got to see some very familiar faces. My first ever chamber coach from San Francisco Conservatory, she came to that concert. And I haven't seen her in more than a decade.
Well, that also is very awesome. Congratulations on that as well. All right. Well, where can people track Improvicelli and everything else that you're going to get setting up? It sounds very exciting.
So to be honest, I am way more active lately on Instagram. So my Instagram is Taekwoncello. It's spelled TaeKwoncello. I actually, when you and I first talked, actually, Alex, I had like less than 700 followers. Right now, I have more than 1,100 followers. And this was all naturally done through just people getting to know my music that I do, performances that I do, or things that I played for recently. And I'm not using the social media for anything except just to try to promote improvicelli, as well as I started a self-defense community called YTC. It's called You Take Charge. I'm starting its first kickoff in 3 years since COVID here in Irvine, because quite a few neighbors have actually requested it to me when they found out that I'm a professional martial artist, because some of these people's daughters are getting harassed and catcalled, even if they're minors, by these dudes in their cars. And they don't even care that these are minors they're hitting on. So people are getting really bold here, Alex. I don't know how that is over in your area, but here in California, especially in Orange County, there's been a lot of thefts, crazy harassing mentally, physically, in the daytime when people are just walking their dogs. It's insane.
Okay. Well, so, since it's been 3.5 years since we've spoken, I'm sure you have some new message you would like to put out. So what is your updated message to people that you want to put out there?
The biggest, most updated message I want to put out there is everyone is special. Everyone was born to be special. Everyone has a gift. you don't have to compare yourself to others to try to be the best you can. Just be yourself and be true to yourself, because good things come to those who wait. And always be patient, because even though, for example, I've been here in SoCal for almost 5 years and I'm still not established, there was a time when I almost gave up hope, honestly, Alex, about like saying, like, was this really a smart idea to move here? But when I started in Provicelli and I remembered why I did it, I realized there are people counting on me. So I can't just hold the towel. I can't just, just because things are getting tough, so a really important thing I would tell people is when things get tough, that's when you really should be more determined to not give up. It's when things get tough is when things get easier after you get through that tough part first. So just never stop believing in yourselves and always push forward, because your efforts will not go unnoticed. That's the most important thing I would probably say to people. Just don't give up. Don't give up hope.